for holding this hearing today and for our witnesses for being here. I have three very focused questions. First, for Dr. Marks. I appreciate the FDA's focus on finding cures for patients with rare diseases. This is especially important because 95% of the more than 7,000 known rare diseases have no FDA-approved treatments. As you are aware, Julie Tierney, who currently serves as CBER's Deputy Center Director for Strategy, Policy, and Legislation, stated that the IRA penalty for seeking multiple orphan drug approvals for the same product could discourage future drug development, most acutely in rare disease. Can you comment on the importance of developing medicines that treat multiple rare diseases to close that treatment gap?
Yeah, well, what I can say here is that obviously it is an impetus to developers if they develop a first indication to be able to have a second or third indication to be able to move into, and being limited to one indication could be a disincentive.
I agree with you completely. I'm moving on. First of all, Dr. Shuren, to comment publicly on our gratitude for you and the FDA for ensuring that patient safety remains paramount when highlighting the significant ramifications of the EPA's ethylene oxide rules could have on medical device sterilization. It is a safety issue. Going forward, do you feel as though you have an open line of communication with the EPA to ensure that medical device implications are understood from the onset when they are developing rules around PFAS or in other areas?
I do think that we have appreciated we have been able to work with the EPA, and we were able to provide important information that they took into account in their ethylene oxide rule. We're going to continue to monitor, though, what's happening with the sterilization facilities to see what the outcome is in practice to try to minimize.
I thank you for that close attention. Dr. Shuren, I would also appreciate the opportunity to maintain an open dialogue going into the user fee negotiations. It is a bit unclear to me why industry stakeholders are not permitted to keep up to speed about how these negotiations are going when they are expected to authorize the agreement, particularly when novel issues are being considered or when certain agreements are delayed, like last cycle. Because of this, we, as the authorizing committee, rely on your meeting minutes, which in the past were posted to FDA's website long after actual meetings had taken place. Can you commit to a more timely publication of your meeting minutes this next go-around? And would you be open to a more transparent negotiation process, including agency and industry updates to this committee as they unfold?
We are committed to more timely meeting minutes, and I will say that that was actually a joint responsibility for us in industry on taking more time. We'd be happy to have further discussions on how we can provide appropriate transparency in the process.
Thank you. I think that transparency will only aid as these developments are so necessary to move forward. And my final question is, Dr. Cazzoni, every hour, at least 2 Americans die from skin cancer. And since this hearing has started, 6 Americans have died from skin cancer. You're speaking to the only dermatologist in Congress, and no new sunscreen active ingredients have been approved in the United States since the 1990s. Since then, the rest of the world has moved ahead of us, 1 or 2 generations of sunscreen ahead of us. Today, the United States has only 6 sunscreen active ingredients available, potentially less upon the finalization of the sunscreen final administrative order. In contrast, the EU has 34 sunscreen active ingredients approved. How can the FDA's regulatory framework be streamlined for ingredients currently on the global market?
So we're very interested in seeing more sunscreen ingredients available in the United States, and we're encouraged to see greater interest from manufacturers. There's a fundamental difference in the regulation of sunscreens. In the U.S., sunscreens are regulated as drugs. In Europe, they're regulated as cosmetics. So in the United States, that means that we need to obtain data that are not required for cosmetics.
Do you find that 30 years without any new active ingredients for sunscreens being formed or approved is incredibly unreasonable?
No. We would certainly like to see more ingredients out there. One of the
Will you commit
things
to
that
being able to work with industry to see that more ingredients are tested and approved by the FDA?
we are very interested to do so. One of the things that is going to help us is a monograph reform that Congress have given us. Prior to that, any changes that we made in the monograph, including sunscreens, would take issuing regulations and years of time to do so. So now that we can use orders, we expect that we expect that it will be much easier for manufacturers to
I would love to
propose
see that it's
new
much
industry.
easier and much faster. Mr. Chairman, my time has expired. I yield back.
Gentleman yields